Hello, everyone. Welcome to LitChats. My name is Amber Peterson, and I'm the Chief Program Officer for LitWorld. LitWorld works in collaboration with amazing community-based organizations all over the world. Together, we deliver literacy programming and create safe and brave spaces for young people and communities to celebrate their stories and learn the world through them. Over the years, as LitWorld's work has developed and evolved, so too has our definition of literacy. Literacy doesn't just encompass reading and writing, but all of the ways that we speak to the world and that it speaks back to us, especially including through media. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to the founder of I Speak Media about what exactly being media literate means. Dr. Alicia Haywood is also an educator and an award-winning producer, and I am so thrilled to be sharing a screen with her today. Thank you so much for joining me in conversation today, Alicia.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate sharing space with you.
Awesome. These days, it is nearly impossible to talk about how we connect without talking about social media. It's become a central part of how we express ourselves, we stay in touch. Before we actually get into social media, what is being media literate? What does that mean? How do we define media literacy in our world today?
It's a great place to start. And I explain media literacy as quite simply understanding how to live in relationship with media as we are all doing in a healthy way, knowing how to navigate all of the messages, all of the content that's coming at us all the time, just maintaining an active stance with it and knowing how to discern what makes sense for you and what doesn't.
Absolutely. I love that. And I do think there's so much content that comes to us all the time. And I think sometimes our definition of what media is simply social media, but it's all those different things. It's the TV we're listening to, watching, the songs we hear on the radio,
Right.
things
The
we read
signs,
in the box.
That's exactly right. The signs we're surrounded by, the books we read, the news content that we consume, in whatever format we find it, that all counts. That all counts. And to your point that you opened this conversation with, media literacy simply means knowing how to read all of that, knowing how to read in whatever format it's coming your way or whatever format you find yourself engaged with in terms of media. Reading still applies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, there comes our definition of literacy. How do we read this type of media?
That's exactly it. And the answer to how is really just exhaustive questioning. And
I love that.
yes, it's asking, how did it get here? How did it make its way to me? And who's behind it? And what is the core of this message that I'm supposed to get from this media content, again, in whatever format you find it? And why? What's the reason? What's the reason behind it? And what is it about it that actually is attracting my attention? Just kind of drilling your way through all these different angles of kind of investigating, interrogating the media.
And I think that that's always been an important part of us being able to understand media, is being able to ask that question of why and who is giving me this message. I think especially in the age of social media, when those messages are coming from everyone and everywhere. And
around the world.
Absolutely.
Around the world. That's exactly right. And the internet has created a global stage, right? And what we come across via social media platforms may not always be age appropriate, may not always be developmentally appropriate. So it can be really challenging.
Absolutely. So, zooming in a little bit to this idea of social media and how it's changed the way that we express ourselves and connect with each other, what are two examples of the way that social media has changed the way that we communicate with each other?
Well, I would say that it certainly flattened the dynamics of the way we communicate, right? The way we talk to each other, the way we listen to each other, the way we understand each other or connect with each other. It's through screens, it's through asynchronous or communication that's not always in real time, it's abbreviated. And, that's not the way humans learned once upon a time how to actually engage with each other. So that's different. And I would also say that it's, the prevalence of social media engagement and our interaction there through ways that I just described, I think it's perhaps made it a little more difficult, maybe a little more complicated, maybe a little more uncomfortable for us to be able to communicate and connect with each other in real life. I don't know that we are as eager to engage when we are in the same space, when we're in a shared space in real life, as we might be if there were screens between us. I think it's absolutely affected just our ability to connect
Mm. Mm.
in
I
a deep, meaningful, authentic way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And I love the way that you said that it kind of flattens our communication. I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. It becomes, I mean, it's not two-dimensional, but it becomes two-dimensional in a way, because I think there's so much that we pick up on, or so many ways that we communicate when we're face to face that we lose when we're doing it
Sure.
through the
Yes.
computer.
I get to be almost eye to eye with you, even though we have screens between us now, but I get to read your facial expressions and a little bit of your body language, and I get to respond to your smile, and I get cues from you in our real-time communication that is not really possible when there are screens between us. And let's say you send me a message or you post something that is really just intended to be a message between you and me, but all the world can see it, and it's not. And then you wait, maybe for me to respond, and if and when I do, it's who knows, the form it comes in, and we don't have this depth that
Yeah.
we have in this kind of communication. Even this, like I said, we still have screens between us, but it's a step or two up from what happens on social media, I would say.
Totally, totally. I mean, and even just the vulnerability of being face to face with someone, like in actual physical proximity,
Yes.
changes the way that you relate to them.
Yeah, it's vulnerability is an important factor to mention here. I think there's maybe certain kinds of confidence or courage that comes with being able to communicate um, behind a screen, without someone. Maybe we don't always want somebody to read our facial expressions and see what we're really feeling, or what our reactions really are when we are in communication. It's certainly affected a lot about us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I mean, we've kind of already been talking about this, but I think sometimes that we're quick to put a judgment on social media, about media in general and what it means for our ability to connect. We just kind of talked about some of the different ways that it's different than when we're communicating face to face
In real time.
real time.
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits of this type of of communication and how it's changed.
My goodness, that global stage I was talking about a little bit ago can be wonderful in ways that it allows us to connect with other people in other places that we wouldn't have access to otherwise, right? It's redefined what it means to be a neighbor or a friend, right?
Yeah.
So I can not only connect with a new friend on the other side of the world, but I can build a whole community or build multiple communities using social media in positive ways. So that I would say that's a huge benefit. And it also allows us to engage in ways that could help us mobilize those communities, you know, in whatever scenario would be applicable, you know, without getting too specific here. But I think being able to build communities without borders between us is just, it can be magical. And then being able to share values and priorities, and then being able to organize and take action, all of that can be aided, if not wholly facilitated, by social media platforms. And also, I would say it's a great benefit for us to be able to get news at the super hyper local level now, right? I think as challenging as that has become for the kind of traditional or corporate news industry, anybody can use a device anywhere and do a news report from where they're standing about what's going on, where they are in their surroundings, and they've got a global audience to listen. So I think that would definitely be a benefit.
Absolutely.
More often than not.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a tool, and every tool comes with benefits and pitfalls, and I think we all just need to learn how to navigate and use these tools, which brings us back to this topic of media literacy.
Yes.
How do we do that?
Yes. So again, we are engaging with media from an active stance, right? We are adopting this identity or this persona almost as an investigative reporter, right? Or an investigative journalist, someone who just has a question and then another question and then a follow-up to that question and a follow-up to that question. It's just not accepting media content or messaging that shows up in your life at face value, right? So the kinds of questions that you might want to ask is, where did this come from? What's the source of this? It's what and who, right? You want to personify the media. That's part of that inquiry process that I'm talking about. Who is behind this, and how did they get this message to me? And then start to ask yourself questions like, what is it about this that even made me stop and pay attention to it? What made me stop scrolling? What made me stop, flipping through channels or whatever it was, or breezing through the different options on whatever feed you have? What made me stop and pay attention to this? And what is it about this content or this message that I am supposed to take away here? And if I were to, let's say, if not me, if I were to maybe think about one of my friends across the world receiving this same message, would it be any different? Would it be shaped in any way that might be considered a modification of the way it was shaped to get to me and grab my attention. Yeah, so those are kind of the basics. Who's behind it? What is the message here? What am I supposed to do, feel, think after engaging or interacting with this message? And again, what is it about it that what's the format here that is captivating me? What's the reason? And then what's the reason? What's the purpose? Yeah. Yeah.
That is, I love that.
Yes, you just want to get yourself in the rhythm of that kind of inquiry with any and all media that you interact with. That's what it means to be a media literate human being in this kind of heavily mediated culture that we are navigating.
I love the first part of what you said. I think is sometimes where we stop that conversation around media literacy. What messages am I getting from these people? What are they trying to tell me, etc.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of personifying media. Like if this is a person who is talking to you, what are they trying to tell you? What do you want? What do they want from you? What do they want of you? But I love that second part that you were talking about, which is kind of how are you shaping this message? Because I think that we don't often think about that part. What are you picking up from it? Like you said, how are we kind of taking in this messaging, and how does that impact what you're getting from this media?
Yes.
I think it's such an important part of the equation.
Sure. And how might it be different? What's missing even from this? If I were to edit this, what would I add or take away? What am I assessing here that might need a little tweaking? That's not quite true. That should be that. And that's another thing to keep in mind. There's a lot of information coming at us constantly, right? And it's important for us to know how to assess that information, meaning and going beyond what we often hear in discussions of fact checking. Is this true? But just what is it that you need from this particular media content, media product, media interaction, whatever it is that's in front of you? Maintain that active stance. Are you looking for factual information right now? Are you in the market for some news? Is that what you are engaging with, interacting with? Or are you just opening yourself up for some entertainment? And if so, then your interaction should be calibrated as such. But then if you were to think about things that are, when we talk about purpose and the why, there's usually money behind the end of that investigation. But when you're interacting with commercial, advertising related messages, you would want to ask questions like, "What was I looking for something? Did I initiate this shop? Or did this just land in front of me and grab my attention and then try to convince me that I need something?" So it's a very kind of, it's a delicate switch or differentiation. But what I'm encouraging is just, be active and maintain authority over the way media makes its way to you. And you decide how you want to interact with it and the role that it will play in your life and the impact that it's going to have on your life. You decide. Being media literate means that you are maintaining that authority.
I love how you put that, maintaining that authority,
yes.
Especially in the age of so like our algorithms being built for us based on what we're looking. We look at one thing and then we get more and more content.
Yeah.
It's being curated for us. How much ownership do we have over that?
Yeah. Who asked for that, by the way? I didn't ask for anything to be designed for me. I like investigating and searching and finding my way. By the way, friend, for those of us who might believe that when we are in the market for information and our first action is to say or think or do something like, oh, let me just Google this, right? I've heard a lot of people say that. Google is not a library. Google is an advertising platform. Keep that in mind.
That is a very, I think, important thing for, all of the content that we have out here, there's somebody's objective behind it. And so whenever we're, to your point, to the point that you said multiple times, we always just need to understand and be aware of what it is that people are trying to tell us, what is the motivation behind that, etc.
Yeah, it's the relationship, right? You are in relationship with media, and if you can just start the practice of again personifying the media, right, and open that conversation. What do you want? What do you want? Who are you? How'd you get here? What do you want from me? You can be playful with it, but it really is living in relationship with media in a healthy way.
I love that. Thank you. This has been amazing. We covered a lot today, but if you had to distill everything down to just one message, one thing you really hope listeners walk away with, what would that be?
Media literacy is literacy. Period.
Love it. Succinct to the point. Love it. All right. One last question before we let you go.
Yes.
It's something that we've been asking everyone. If literacy were a superhero, what would its superpower be?
All right. So I'm going to flip this.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to say you are the superhero, and you would be whoever is listening or watching this. You are the superhero. Media literacy is your superpower.
I love that. I love that. The ability to understand, take in,
really
understand what's happening in the world.
There you go. It's critical thinking at its finest. Yes.
I love that. A perfect answer.
Can I add one more thing?
Oh, please, please.
So Media Literacy Week this year is October 27th through the 31st. And the short version of what that is about is simply elevating our awareness about the importance of media literacy and really understanding what it is. So I'm really glad that you're doing this. And I hope that people find ways to connect during Media Literacy Week, to talk to each other about this very thing, about what does it mean to us to live in relationship with media in a healthy way. That's what I'm hoping a lot of people will do this year during Media Literacy Week. But October 27th through the 31st is when that happens.
We will be having a lot more conversations in the run up to October 27th through the 31st.
Awesome.
And we will, hopefully we'll be speaking with you again as well as we get close. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Lit Chat. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you and to learn from you today. Please head over to ispeakmedia.org to learn more about Dr. Haywood's amazing work. To everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow LitWorld on Facebook, Instagram, and X to stay up to date with all the amazing things that we're doing. Visit us at litworld.org to learn more about our work and to donate. Thank you again, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you, everyone.